How often have you tried using the transitions between slides in PowerPoint and found it a little bit tricky? Let me show you exactly what to do. Hi, I'm Michelle, a computer coach here sharing tips and tricks on your everyday software to make life that little bit easier. I suppose the first question is, what is a transition? In your PowerPoint presentation, you're going to have multiple slides and you click and you move to the next slide. So it's that click and move from one slide to the next that can be a transition. So the standard, of course, is that it's switched off, no transitions. But you can use them to make points and make things a little bit more interesting. Here I've got a presentation from a previous video that I'm going to use as my demonstration. So first things first is when it comes to transitions, I actually prefer to switch the view and go into what's called the slide sorter so I can see the slides really easily. Looking up on the ribbon at the top of the screen, you can see one of the tabs is just for transitions. And you can see that when you click on the gallery view, there's quite a few to choose from. So we've got subtle, exciting, and dynamic content. Microsoft does occasionally change this up, so don't worry if it doesn't match completely. I am also using PowerPoint 365 on the desktop to get the full range. You need to choose which transition is going to be used. Here's the fun bit. Do you apply the transition on the slide you're on or the slide you're going to? So let's have a look. Let's go into slide 2 and I am going to choose push because it's right there. Okay, and you can see that what that's actually doing is going from slide 1 to slide 2. You may or may not want to apply it to your first slide because do you want an animation to make the first slide actually appear? That's your choice. Now that I've applied the animation, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide itself that I have got a little star, and that's the transitions icon. This is the other reason that I like using the slide sorter view. And if you're wondering what it looks like, let's go and run the presentation. So as I said, you might not want a transition on the first one so that the title slide actually is just on the screen. But as soon as I click, and I've just used the direction key on my keyboard, instead of just appearing, it pushed up as I asked. So let's press escape. You may be wondering what other ones are available. Let's look at the subtle ones. So none is how you can switch it off. Morph you may have seen on a number of other videos, which will take the content of the first slide and the content of the second one and then create the animation to move from one to the other. Really nice when you want a little bit of movement, but you do have to consider what is actually on the slide. I will share a link up above to the video that I've got around some of the commands around morph. So fade, push is the one that I use. I'm going to go through absolutely everything here, but you get the idea. To apply it, all you do is simply go to the slide, choose your animation. You'll get a little preview. You can do this on the main slide as well. And that's pretty much it. If you don't want something, if you don't want a particular transition, you have two choices. You can choose to go to a different transition and it will replace it. Or you can choose none to switch it off and you can see that my little icon, my little star icon is now gone. I can also choose when it moves on. So I can advance the slide on mouse click, which is generally speaking the one that I would recommend, especially if you're talking around something, because if somebody asks you a question and you need to think about it, or you of course need to answer it, having it on mouse click means that it'll move forward when you're ready. If you do after, which is the option to automatically move between them, it can make for a very slick presentation and you need to have practice so your timings are perfect. But if there is any sort of interruption, your timings are going to get thrown off. So I generally prefer on mouse click so that I can do it at my speed. You can also choose to have sound, and any of these options you can also choose to apply to all, which is a lot easier. So if you want to just try a few things out. Underneath the exciting, there is random, which will then apply a different animation to all your slides. Sadly, the rule about all of this is don't have lots of random animations because it can take away from the point that you're trying to make. The recommendation is one of two things. Either A, have the same transition across the slides, or B, simply choose transitions on specific slides where it'll make an impact. So for example, years ago, I had to do a presentation, which was a company funny awards ceremony. And there was a few people that weren't going to be able to make it to pick up their award. So the slide came up, the award for goes to, but they can't be here tonight. Click, and I use the dissolve transition to move on to the next slide. So you can use it in various little ways like that. Let me run the show now that I've got all of those on. You can see what I mean by you might not want that transition on the first slide. So let's go through. And of course, these are a range of the more exciting options. So there are a few different ones that you can use as and when you need it. Found this video useful? Then click the thumbs up button and remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to be told as more videos become available. I'll see you next time.